Hey, Facebook, Elizabeth Nader back with you tonight with Jersey First TV. We have such an important issue that we need to discuss tonight. So I am honored to have on with us experts to talk about this. Sheriff Gannon and Chief Orlando. Sheriff and Chief, welcome to Jersey First TV.
It's great to be here, Elizabeth. Thank you very much. Nice to see you, Chief.
Yeah, you too, Sheriff, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm really honored that you guys would join us, and I'm sure everybody watching knows who you are, but of course, Sheriff Gannon is Morris County Sheriff, and those of you who have the pleasure of living in Florence Park, you have one of the best police chiefs around, and that is Chief Orlando. So I am just excited to talk to you guys. I wish it didn't have to be on this issue, but I appreciate your depth of knowledge. And tonight what we want to do is really educate the community, educate parents on what happened with the passing of this new marijuana bill and what it means for all of us who have children, as well as care about what happens in our community and what it means for law enforcement. So that is the point of tonight's discussion. And just to set the stage, and most people know this, but to remind everyone, we had a question on the ballot this November, which was about legalizing cannabis for personal and non-medical use. And of course, we know that that question passed. So as a result, then legislation was passed in February to address that particular question in terms of regulation, legalizing it, decriminalizing it. And as a result, we had a pretty shocking turn of events that happened, and that was with S3454. And this bill, which passed and was signed by Murphy and is currently enforced, is all about addressing really minors and their use of alcohol and marijuana, as well as law enforcement. So this is what we're going to discuss tonight. I want everyone to be well informed about it and to understand what you can do and what is happening right now. So Sheriff, let's start with you. Tell us what you know about this bill and when you found out about it and your reaction.
Yeah, Elizabeth, thank you. Thank you for inviting us on, because I think it's such an important topic that affects all of us in the community. And you know, not speaking for the chief of police, who I've known our whole careers together, police and sheriffs feel this way. We have to go back to, I think, November, right? The voters have spoken. The voters have spoken. Now, to be perfectly honest with you, as a sheriff, and I know the police in New Jersey have tried not to have that go legal, right? That was the reality. We followed Colorado and Washington. We knew that things were going to happen. When you legalize cannabis, homelessness will go up, DWI, driving while intoxicated, will go up, traffic deaths will go up. You know, statistically, about 20% will be THC involved. You know, there'll be a black market. There's all those things. Crime will go up, use will go up, all those types of things. Cash on hand will go up if there's cash on hand. Robberies will go up. There's environmental issues of mold. There's fires. There's explosions. All these things. But, however, from a public safety perspective, that's what I know will happen. I know it's going to happen. Okay. However, the voters voted. Okay, and we support that. We're in this beautiful country on earth, and we're in this country, and we support that. But I have to say, on February 22nd, when it came down, that as a police officer, as a sheriff's officer, law enforcement, we couldn't tell the parents of children who had a bottle of vodka or who had a bag of marijuana or cannabis of some sort that their child was going down the wrong path. Now, I felt that now our children are part of an experiment. Yeah, that's what it is, right? Like we see that the children are part of an experiment, and we just can't allow that. You know, parents have rights. You know, as a young police officer, some of my best training was working in the community in a walk-in post, and knew all the people there. And I'd see something that a child was going out of bounds, and I'd talk with them, and I'd meet with the parents and say, listen, I think collectively I'll keep it on him, you keep it on him, and he's going to be okay, or she's going to be okay. That's what I see in policing in Morris County. That's what I saw policing in Boonton or Boonton Township and in New Jersey. I see that type of policing. What's happened is now with issues of deprivation of civil rights, where if the police engage this youngster or tell their parents or something like that, they're facing a third-degree crime, 3 to 5 years incarceration, $15,000 fine, a loss of job, a loss of reputation.
Crazy.
For trying to do what police officers do. I tell you, I have to say, all over the state, as you know, Elizabeth, I'm speaking to people day in and day out. I just left a group of people talking on this topic. I have not met one parent that thought that was a good idea. Not one.
Not one. It's beyond us. It's beyond us that this actually passed, Sheriff. It's beyond us. And I think, you know what, Chief, I would like you to talk about what happened before this bill. I mean, give us an example. You're in Florence Park. Hopefully you guys don't have too much of this, but you stop someone and it's a minor and there is a smell of marijuana or alcohol. I want you to talk through what that used to look like before the passage of this new bill in February. Now what it's going to look like.
Well, previous to this, we have very, very limited juvenile crime in Florence Park, especially with drugs and alcohol, because we're very involved in the DARE program and we have school resource officers in our schools. And we've made strides over the last 2 decades to really engage with our community, our parents, our kids. And we feel like we've been very effective at that. This bill, this law, really is going to change all of that for us. But to answer your question directly, a motor vehicle stop prior to this law, we would have, if we walked up to a car and had either plain sight or plain smell marijuana or alcohol, even with a juvenile, that gave us reasonable articulable suspicion to search the motor vehicle to find either alcohol and or drugs. This law changes that because we can no longer do that. And as the sheriff alluded to, if we do that, technically we'll be violating their civil rights and we can be charged with a third-degree crime. And to take that a step further, if in the course of that violation, that third-degree violation of their civil rights, if that juvenile happens to trip and fall and sustain some type of bodily injury, it's now elevated to a second-degree crime, 5 to 10 years in prison, presumptive prison time for second-degree crimes in the state of New Jersey.
For the police officer, for the law enforcement officer.
That's what we're doing to our police officers in the state of New Jersey now.
That's incredible. And I wonder, were any of you in the PBA or in the sheriff's group, were any of you consulted? Were you part of all of this, or was it as equally a surprise to you as it was to the rest of us?
We weren't consulted. I mean, after the November election, we knew this was coming. Yeah. But when it was passed out to us, it came out the day after. We had no idea it was coming out, and we had no idea what it involved.
So Chief, have you had to tell your officers to literally stand down? How do you talk to them now about what that stop looks like, what they can and cannot do? Why would they even want to try to help a minor when they are at such risk of being prosecuted?
Well, at the end of the day, we have a community caretaking responsibility, and we still have to take care of our residents and the people that come through town, whether they're residents or not. And we have a responsibility to them. Initially, did we tell our officers, hey, you need to stand fast right now until we figure this out? Absolutely, because we were putting their careers and their lives at risk by not doing anything. So yes, we had to take a step back. We've received some limited training from the Attorney General's office and from the prosecutor's office, but this is an evolving situation. And, I don't think anybody really has a full grasp of it right now. So yes, things have definitely changed for us.
So Sheriff, do you have any insight? And I don't know that anyone has except those at the table. Do you have any insight as to why this passed, why it made it through the Assembly, made it through the Senate, and was signed by Murphy? What are we missing here? Are you aware of any of the pressures behind the scenes?
No, I'm not really aware of it. I am flabbergasted by it. I really am. As I say, the police in this county, in this state, do a phenomenal job. They work in concert with guardians and with parents with regards to these issues. I've seen the best of the best. I think that there's police reform is a big hot button topic right now. I applaud Senator Anthony Bucco and Senator Declan O'Scanlan. Today, they have a bill that's on the governor's desk, right, that will allow the police officers to do their job and interact with family members and tell the parents and everything like that. It's tricky, this whole thing. First offense, warnings. How do I know this is the first offense? I don't know how we're going to do that. There's no central registry, right? So if a kid lives in Florence Park and now he's going down the Jersey Shore, how do we know which offense it is and all that? It's a start, and I applaud them for moving this forward. However, the issues remain with regards to the police interaction, and the police are in the spotlight with regards to these issues. We are already wearing body-worn cameras and things like that, which are good. Policing those things. We've had use of force updates. We've had all those things, and a lot of good things come out of it. I tend to think the focus of this is on the police. Now, we're allowed to tell the parents, but we can still get in trouble if we hold this person on the side of the road maybe a little too long. How do we know who this person is? If they don't give us ID, if they walk from it, how do we know who they are? That's the reality of police work. We train police officers to do this type of work, and the police officers do a phenomenal job as both warriors and guardians. It's 90% guardian work that we take care of people. And we do, as the chief says, have a community caretaking responsibility. We do. And that's a lot of our work here. But some of these regulations have stripped the power of the police. And the police are waiting to go back to doing what they need to do to protect kids.
Absolutely.
A kid with a bottle in his hand, a whiskey bottle, and he's 10 years old. I can't tell his parents, what are we doing? That is ludicrous. Hopefully that'll get worked out as we go forward. But I am interested in the backstory with regards to this.
I agree. And I think it's a fair question, right? How do we get to a point in the state where legislation like this passes without anyone making any kind of stink about it? Are we at that point, honestly, where that happens and we're taken by surprise? Now, I want to go specifically into, because some people haven't read this bill, and people don't read bills and they're hearing things. So Chief, I want you to talk specifically, and Sheriff alluded to it, but there is the first, second, and third offense, right? So, and again, this is for a minor, and the first offense is what? No parent notification, right, Chief? So what do?
Well, it's a written warning to the juvenile themselves without any parent notification whatsoever.
And you hand it to the juvenile, and then you keep that on file, or no, it's a minor. So what do you do with it?
Well, we're supposed to develop a system, a filing system that separates these notifications from all other police records in the police department.
Wow.
So they're not allowed to be in any computer database where we have other police files. It's just a completely separate thing that we have to create in order to track these. And as the sheriff alluded to, we can track them in Florham Park, but we can't track them across jurisdictional lines, which makes the legislation really, inept.
It's very inept. Yeah. And I mean, we already have issues with technology. I mean, look at our motor vehicles, look at our voting systems. I mean, they're not speaking to each other. So I have a hard time imagining that there's a plan to have all the, different, police units to speak to each other across the state. There's no way. So that's the first offense. Now, let's just say that minor just happens to be in the same town. Somehow, hopefully you will know when there's a second offense. And then that is when parents are notified, Chief?
So on a second offense, if we know about the first offense, we issue a second written warning. And then at that point in time, we're supposed to give the first and second written warning to the parent. So I show up at a parent's house here who I've known for 20 years, and I tell them, hey, I have your son here or your daughter. This is the second time I've had him. And they're going to say, what do you mean the second time? What happened the first time? How come I didn't know about this? And really, what's the answer that I provide to that family? The state of New Jersey doesn't allow me to tell you that your child was involved in something that could harm them.
Crazy. And then we get to the third offense. So now parents have been notified. Now there's a third offense. If in fact we're able to track that, again, questionable whether or not we can actually track that and how that will be done. And the way I read the bill, it's another written warning with maybe some community service, maybe a $50 fine. I didn't see a lot of teeth. What happens the third time?
So again, the third time they get another written warning, and we provide that warning to the parent as well. But we're also supposed to submit that to a facility that can provide treatment. However, if you read further into the law, it says that they're under no obligation to adhere to that advice. So they don't have to go to the treatment. They don't have to do anything. And that third offense is meaningless. They can continue to offend over and over and over again. The law has basically decriminalized marijuana and underage alcohol for minors.
I'm almost speechless about this the more that I look at it. Sheriff, it occurs to me that drug dealers have a great opportunity here. What are some people not understanding about that? This is an opening for them, is it not, to use minors?
Sure. It's going to be employing minors with regards to the distribution channel. Sure. It's the same thing. Hey, in the violent crime world, if people are in a car and they're doing stick-ups or something, like the juvenile carries the gun. I'm just talking police work.
Yeah.
We know that as police officers, right? Same thing's going to happen here, where the juvenile will be carrying the weight of it. Yeah. In essence, if you have a marijuana smell in a location, it's off limits.
Yeah.
In essence, further investigation. It's really not been thought out correctly.
No.
With regards to it, hopefully we can remedy it, but it's troubling on all sides. And you bring up a good point with regards to what's the backstory with regards to these issues. And I don't know, and we'll find out in due time. But we're committed to straightening this problem out on all sides, and we got some good people in the legislature to do that.
Yeah, agreed with you. And when we're done, we're going to talk about that, what's being written right now, and encourage people to support that and tell them how they can do it. Now, what we've been talking about a lot is with the minors and the parental notification. That alone is shocking and worth, absolutely reacting to and fixing. But let's dig into more now. What are we doing to law enforcement? Because we've said it a few times, but I want to make sure people understand how we are putting their jobs on the line. So, Chief, go into detail again. What would happen if one of your men or women stop a minor and go outside the boundaries of this law? Explain what would happen to them in detail.
Well, I mean, according to the law, they can be charged with a third-degree crime. And as I said earlier, if something happens during that encounter where the juvenile incurs some bodily injury, it gets elevated to a second-degree crime, which, again, as I said earlier, presumptive prison time with second-degree crimes in the state of New Jersey. So we're asking our officers to go out, enforce the law, take care of the community. But then we're telling them, if you do something that's slightly outside the norm with this particular law, your life and your career are in jeopardy. I mean, that's asking a lot. I think I think this part of the law is egregious.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was an oversight on the legislature's part. I think it was purposeful. And I would love to know why that is, what the intent was behind that.
Well, we all know what happened this summer and the environment that we've been in related to defund the police and all of that. In your town, you haven't seen a lot of that. I know your town is very supportive. Sheriff, Morris County, we don't really have those issues yet. Surprisingly, this passed very easily in both houses, and the governor signed it. So I think it's hard to ignore that there isn't some bias towards law enforcement happening here. And I do think no matter what we fix, we need to dig further. So Chief, really, even if your officers were able to figure out all this notification and everything, you right now don't have the systems in place. So this law is passed, but you currently can't keep track, or don't know how you're going to meet that demand of the law to keep track of all these notifications. Is that correct?
Across jurisdictional lines.
Cross jurisdiction. Yeah, right. Exactly. There's no way.
No, there's not. So the legislature passed this law and asked us to monitor this, but they didn't put anything in place in order for us to track these offenses. So as I said, we created a system here, which is basically an Excel spreadsheet where we input the information. So if we come in contact with that juvenile more than once, we will know, but somebody in Madison isn't going to know, or East Hanover or Hanover Township or Morris Township, or forget about Morris County down the shore.
Right. All of those things. Sheriff, I'd like you to talk about Hope One a little bit, because both of you have backgrounds with narcotics, and most people are aware of Hope One. If they're not, they need to hear about it. Everything that you've done with that is all about helping the community and early intervention and, keeping people from going down that path. How does this impact what you guys are doing and how you're going to approach it? I mean, it's really just an assault on some of your mission, is it not?
It is. It's what we stand for. Whether you're a DARE police department or a LEAD police department or whatever, or Hope One, Hope One's that mobile access recovery vehicle started. Its 4-year anniversary is coming up, right? Since we've been out there in the community, we've had nearly 18,000 contacts in Morris County with people that wanted to talk to us with regards to a family member, a friend, a colleague, or themselves that had an issue with mental health, addiction, homelessness, those types of issues. Now we've branched out to a Hope Hub where we provide services. So a certain percentage of the people that we deal with are juveniles, obviously. But the problem out there in addiction is real. I don't have to tell you what 2020 and 2021 have done to us in the community, but all issues of people being isolated, those types of things. Our suicides are up.
Yes.
Fatal drug overdoses are up. In this beautiful county of Morris, we had 98 last year, fatal drug overdoses, right? But our suicides are up. A lot of things going on. It's the year of mental health. May is Mental Health Month.
Right.
I'm talking 2021 and beyond the year of mental health. It's real issues affecting people. The police are out there on Hope One, right? That's a partnership with the Police Chiefs Association, with the Prosecutor's Office, with the Mental Health Association of Essex and Morris, with CARES, in my office, where we go out into the communities. And we have a contact every 8.5 minutes there. We've put 213 people in rehab or in recovery, 195 in mental health programs. We can document 53 lives saved with Narcan. We train people, we issue them Narcan. They go out into the community as force multipliers. This is what I see in police work. Chief Gannon, a great enforcement guy, but he also supports the program of Hope One. We can't do it without the local police chiefs. They're all engaged in that. We have the Hope Hub, where we identify people that are in the acutely elevated risk, right? And we bring in 19 providers to work with people. This is what's going on in the community. This is what I see. So to me, maybe I'm a little offended by it.
You have the right to be.
Yeah, I was offended because I see all the good things that are going on in there, out there in the community, and we need to continue to help these kids.
Yeah.
We need to continue to help other folks in the community. They need our help, and we want to help them.
Yeah,
we're handcuffed right now.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
You should be offended. Both of you should be. Anyone in law enforcement should be offended. I'm offended as a parent. I can't even imagine how you feel. Chief, we talked about a little bit about probable cause as well. This is part of it also. So literally, if one of your officers sees or smells, even sees the marijuana or the alcohol, this is not considered probable cause. Explain that.
It's not. So we're speaking strictly about people under the age of 21.
Correct.
So if we approach somebody either on the street or on a motor vehicle stop and we see plain sight marijuana or open containers of alcohol or even closed containers of alcohol for somebody who's under the legal age to purchase alcohol, it does not give us probable cause to search that person or their property. We can confiscate what we see, and then we can go through that written warning process that we were talking about before.
Right.
But beyond that, we can't do anything further.
Yeah. And that's a big issue too, because I don't know, Sheriff, if you agree with this or not, but it seems there's been a lot of conversation about marijuana being a gateway drug. And so with Hope One, now we're dealing with minors who may be engaging in this and maybe in their car with their older friends. Maybe there's more there, right? But the police can't find it. They can't search it. Do you agree it's a gateway drug? And do you see that now we have minors who are going to slide into more heavy use of other narcotics as a result of sort of this unabated marijuana potential?
Yeah, I do. I do see it. I have to say, on that same topic, I see it as a gateway, but on that same topic, when I speak to people in the addiction community every week, I've never had any of them say, I think this is a great idea. Right? People, certified peer recovery specialists, people on the truck that are doing the tremendous work out there in the community. They speak the language of addiction. They know addiction from the inside out. None of them are saying this is all a good idea. Let kids do their thing. Don't tell their parents, because they know what happens.
Yeah.
They know what happens. Haven't bumped into too many people. I thought this was a good idea. I really haven't. That's why I'm hopeful. That's why I'm hopeful that this was unintended consequence, let's say, and let's make it right for the police, just like we're going to hopefully make it right for the children out there and the people that deserve it.
Yeah, that deserve to be protected.
Right.
Chief, do you talk to your coworkers throughout the nation who've dealt with something like this already in other states like Colorado or other places that have legalized this and what the result has been for their police force? Were you sort of, prepared for what was going to happen here and had, stories from your contemporaries as to how they've handled this?
I haven't spoken personally. I've participated in webinars and I've read articles about exactly what you're speaking of. And as the sheriff alluded to earlier, it was all about the increase in under the influence driving.
Yeah.
That those rates are going to go up. They have gone up in every state that has legalized marijuana. And I anticipate that's going to happen here. I'll be honest with you. The night after this legislation passed, my officers went out onto the road and they encountered 3 separate individuals on motor vehicle stops. And every one of them had plain smell, plain sight marijuana. And they were just, they didn't know what to do at that point in time. The law was fresh.
Right.
And the people out on the road, they know. The public knows what they can get away with now.
Yeah.
And they were getting away with it that night.
Yeah, that's scary. That's scary for the rest of us that are on the road with them. And we should all be concerned, even if you don't have children, those that are listening right now should be very, very concerned about how this impacts the community. So we do have some good, brave senators. And these senators are standing up. And right now we have, just so everyone knows, we have 2 bills, one that just got introduced, as Sheriff mentioned, by Senator Bucco and O'Scanlan. And I know Testa and Singer, and I think another senator jumped in on that. That particular bill is fresh, and it's about removing the criminal liability. So I don't know if you guys have had a chance to read it. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. Hopefully it goes all the way and takes that completely out of the game.
I think it's on the parental notification side. Notification side, right?
Yep. So S3577 deals with the criminal liability for law enforcement, and then it's S3528, and there's a companion bill in the Assembly, and that addresses the parent notification. So everyone listening, we do have senators who are standing up and Assembly people who are looking at this legislation. I believe, Sheriff, you said the first one with the parent notification is on Murphy's desk. Is that what you understand? It's already on his desk?
My understanding on the parent notification on his desk.
So there is some expectation he will sign that. So I think, we need to watch that. I do believe he probably will from what I've read. The other legislation is about protecting our law enforcement. So once we get the parent notification signed, we need to keep the pressure on. So asking everyone right now to please call in any part of the state, please call your senator, please call your Assembly people, because we need to keep the pressure on, protect our police, protect our children, protect our parental rights. And then we get that passed, and I think we need to revisit, how did this happen? We really do need to revisit that, because people like you, Sheriff and Chief, you guys have dedicated your life to this, to tie your hands behind your back. I don't understand it. I don't understand why we would do that. So that's where we are, everyone. And Sheriff and Chief, we appreciate you so much. You guys are just amazing for Morris County. And I see the mayor of Florence Park is on here right now. Chief, anything you want to say to our illustrious mayor?
Thanks for all the support that you give me, and thanks for inviting me to this podcast. I enjoyed it, and I really appreciate the opportunity to get our message out, because a lot of times we're not able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jersey First exists, Rosemary Becky started it, exists to make Jersey a better place to live. And one of the main tenets of what we do is to support you guys. And we want to make sure we back you. So, we never thought we would have to be talking about this, but here we are in a very strange time. So we fully support you. Sheriff, any last words?
No, it's a great opportunity, and I really appreciate Chief Orlando. He's a great partner for us, and Mayor Mark Taylor, obviously, for Florham Park and Elizabeth. You always have real timely topics on the air. You get everybody's blood pressure up, which we like. A lot of passion on these topics, and I'm just honored to be a part of it. Hopefully, be part of getting this straightened out.
We will, yeah, we will get it straightened out. And I know some of the people working on it are good friends of yours. And you've got great communication with them. So we will track it, and we stay committed to making sure that you guys can do your jobs to help me. I'm a mother of 4 teenagers. I need you guys to do your job. You know, I really do. That's what makes it easier for us. So thank you guys. Thank you to everyone listening. Please call your senator, call your assembly people, tell them, what are you doing, guys? Help us protect our law enforcement and our parents. Guys, thank you so much. And thank you for your commitment and your public service. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
All right,
you.
guys, we'll see you next week.